Welcome to Faith in 5, a weekly video devotional designed to discuss practical spiritual concepts in 5 minutes or less. I'm your host, Mark Vandellen. So I do a lot of marriage coaching and I do a lot of marriage prep, like premarital coaching, and usually we talk a lot about communication. We talk about kind of humility, putting the other person in front of the other or in front of yourself, and all those sorts of things. And so there's a lot of different things on communication. And we always work through the 5 love languages, which are basically the ways that we give and receive love. But Gary Chapman also wrote a book called The 5 Languages of Apology. And in that, it talks about how we give and receive I'm sorry, essentially. See, there's some of us that are just completely comfortable with, hey, I'm sorry, no problem, let's move on. But on the other end of the spectrum is people who want penance, right? We want somebody to pay a price for what they've done. And until you do that, I'm not going to fully accept your apology. And that doesn't work great, honestly, in marriage relationships, but sometimes that's our natural tendency. And I think all of us have a bit of this in us, depending on what it looks like. We've been talking about the Prodigal Son, and I think that that's what shows up here. Right? In the story that Jesus gives us, he could have ended it right at the fact when the younger son, the Prodigal Son, it's titled after the younger son, right? So the story could have ended when he came home and dad threw a party for him, all is good. But there's another character in the story, the older brother. Right? Jesus starts by saying there's a dad who has 2 sons. The younger one leaves and takes everything, but there's the older brother. And so the older brother is in a spot, Jesus tells us, where he finds out his brother comes home. And then his dad's throwing a party for his brother. He actually gets angry and he sulks off. His dad finds him and says, what's going on? He says, this isn't fair. I've stayed here my whole life. I've worked hard for you, and you're throwing a party for him? He went and blew it all. He deserves to pay for that. He deserves penance. We deserve him to pay us back, right? And the father says, no, I know you've been here the whole time, and I love you. I trust you. You're the example. But you're invited to this party too. I want you to participate in this. It's not going to be the same without you. Everything I have is yours, but let's stop for a second and think. Your brother, my son, we thought he was dead and now he's alive. He was lost and now he's found. See, I want to share a story also from early in my marriage. When I started to develop some of these marriage coaching materials, I was screwing it up all over the place. And I remember very specifically this one time because it was a light bulb moment for me. My wife and I, throughout our whole relationship, have always kind of shared responsibilities. One of us would go to the grocery store, and so then that week the other one would do the laundry. Or that week, one week somebody would wash the cars, and so the other one would mow the lawn. Whatever it is, we just naturally kind of figured that out. But I remember this one week, I must have felt like I had done a lot of things and done groceries and mowed the lawn and washed the car. So I expected Ashley to do the laundry. But I didn't communicate that to her. So I woke up one morning, got ready for work, left for work, and hoped that the laundry would be done when I got home, and it wasn't. So second day, I woke up, got ready, and realized that we were getting pretty low on the essentials, right? So I'm thinking, it's got to get done today. She'll notice that when she gets ready. Came home second day, not done. So now I'm frustrated. I still don't communicate to her. Third day, get up. Now I'm just upset. I'm frustrated. I get ready. I put on my last t-shirt. I go to work. And on the way home, I start thinking to myself, it's not done. There's no way she did it. Now I'm upset, right? I'm just fuming. But I walk through the door and it's done. It's folded and it's ready to be put away. The craziest thing happened. I was actually now more upset that it was done because I was no longer right. I would have rather had it not get done for 5 more days so that I could hold on to this anger and this frustration and this upset. That's what the older brother's going through. Right? When the younger brother leaves, he's thinking, he'll never come home. He'll never come home. And he proved him right for a long time. And then when he came home, he's got to admit that he's wrong. See, we want to be right so badly that we want to be right even when it's damaging or even when we're wrong. And I want to challenge us. There are 3 characters in this story, the younger brother, the dad, and the older brother. And there are times where we play all of them. But let's take a look at the times that we play older brother. We want to set things right. We want people to pay for what they've done. We want penance. But that is clearly not what Jesus is communicating to us through this story. Jesus wants to paint a picture of God through us. You could almost play this story out and see the father wanting to pair the younger son up with the older brother so that he can learn from the older brother. God wants you and me. He wants us to be the older brother that people can see and experience God from, not older brother who wants to make things right. So this week, as you go about your life and you look at the places where you play all three characters, really examine the places where you play older brother and be willing to extend grace. Be willing to paint an accurate picture of God, because people who are far from God aren't coming home to a God who wants penance. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to follow us each week, click here to subscribe. And if you want to take it a little bit further, click here for discussion materials.